We're going to talk about the idea of places and forms of power. This nation can be defined as the ability to influence the behavior of people. In order to live together, members of communities accept rules, regulations, and laws. This helps to create social cohesion, but it can also lead to conflicts and tensions. Even when authority seems absolute, there are always counterpowers that question it, aim at limiting its excess, and resist it. This notion can refer to many things, such as the power of media, the financial power, and the American dream, among many other things. In order to illustrate this important notion, that is a controversial topic in the society of our times, we have chosen to talk about the race to space, and we attempt to answer the question: in what ways is the power of a nation represented by the race to space? To answer this question, we will use four documents: Kennedy's Moon Speech, Space Exploration Timeline, Article Apollo Plus 50 by The Economist, and Race to Space document. First, we are going to talk about the advantages of these forms of power. Technological power is the power that a nation obtains by investing and researching. The race to space has an important weight in this kind of power, due to the high technological advances that space exploration has helped achieving. NASA remarked in 2014 that space exploration had helped the improvement of spacecraft designs and a better understanding in the experimentation that improved life on Earth. Adam Mann said in TheWire.com that space technology helped people with the GPS, a device that has become embedded into everything we own. That is how we can observe that space technology is in everything we own. It is in our daily life, such as in smartphones.
So, for the military achievements, during the Bush administration in the Cold War, there was the race to space, and well, he had surveillance satellites, but the US wanted to expand his military capabilities by having weapons in space. So they could have the fourth military arena, have sea, land, air, and now adding space. And this was made, or he had the vision to do this to avoid and be prepared in order to terrorist attacks like it happened in 2001 with the Twin Towers. Now space is no longer seen as a land for research and resource, but is now seen as a new territory for new military opportunities. But now, as Obama said, he during his time as the president of the United States, he is not planning to go to the space in by the time, because there are other major problems to attend before go sending new people to the moon. So this is something that is in the wait. But there, this idea was a very problematic idea, because if this was possible, if a country get against the United States, he could throw his weapons um, in space to their country at any time, and you are not prepared. So this is something very threatening for the other countries, and maybe for some issues between the countries.
Back then, why did the USA and or the USSR wanted to conquer space? They wanted to be the most influential countries in the world by having more military power than their opponents, so they could quickly finish that so annoying Cold War they were facing. Also, by being the first nation to conquer space, they would change the way of thinking of their of the whole world, of the population of different countries, including of their opposing countries, which was communism or capitalism. Also, they wanted to be they wanted to diffuse the communism for the USSR and or the capitalism for USA propaganda. Propaganda was really important to change the people's mind and to change and to beat their opponent.
Finally, we are going to talk about the disadvantages of this form of power. Even though the benefit can seem very big, space exploration has many negative sides. Space exploration has a very important cost that American citizens must pay with their taxes. Indeed, in Kennedy's moon speech, he talks about the costs. It costed $60 million a year in salaries, $2,000 million to invest in facilities, and over $1 billion to create a center in Houston. He declared that the space budget stood to $5,400 million a year, which represented less than what Americans used to pay in cigarettes. Whereas some people considered there were more important issues to attend in the earth, the American government spent in the late 60s more than 50 cents a week for every man, woman, and child that lived in the USA.
Now I'm gonna be talking about pollution and space junk because this is one of the disadvantages of forms of power. Following the NASA animation that got out in 2011, we can see that there is a major problem with the space junk. There is 21,000 pieces of garbage that is right now floating around Earth orbits. So this is a very big problem that show us how much humans are affecting the planet, and it can make some other problems and issues, even if it's in the Earth orbits, like it happened in 2007 with the destruction of a Chinese satellite that was made by space explosions and coalitions from the pieces of garbage that were floating around, and also with the communication between the American and Russian satellite, and some of the other pieces get burned up in the time, and there is no big problem for the people that live in Earth. There is only one register in 15 years of a piece of garbage that returned back to the Earth. So this is not a big problem for us as a normal person living his life day after day. But we are living in a planet surrounded by garbage and in a planet that is garbage and only junk. And the only solution to fix this problem is to not add any more debris than there already is. So to be conscious of our planet and don't make more pollution. So be more conscious of the acts and the things you do in your in your day life.
Also, several nations invest a big part of their budget into space exploration because they want to have the supremacy over other countries in this fourth military arena. This tick of power can lead to political conflicts, such as changes on international contracts like the OTAN, which is a military contract between United States, Canada, and other European countries to keep themselves safe from other possible threats. Also, these political conflicts can often turn into cold-blooded wars or world wars but with even more weapons, new strategies, and even more casualties. Finally, space exploration could also lead to religious controversy about trying to find answers that could change our way of thinking and even our way of seeing the world.
The race to space has become one of the symbols of power through the last decades. It has given technologies that 100 years ago wouldn't even have dreamed of. It has helped nations to mark their status as military potencies so they can live protected. Last but not least, it has contributed in the ability of nations in expanding socially through the world. But in order to achieve greatness and be able to become the stronger nation, all those that fought to win the race to space chose to ignore the negative sides, such as the big economic cost that it has taken running towards space. Also, we have sent a lot of trash into the space that now is orbiting near the Earth. And most important, the political conflicts, mainly between United States and USSR, that the race to space has originated in the last 2 years. So it's time to think. It is more important for a nation to represent their power, or wouldn't it be better to attend bigger issues on Earth?